Well, hello, peeps. Good morning. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. Oh my goodness, it's Wednesday already. How crazy is it when the week just goes flittering on by? So today, hump day hurdles and all, we got to talk about something that is pretty stinking difficult if you want my own personal opinion. And it is taking stock of your skills, right? So yesterday I talked about how I am in full on taking stock of things, writing down ideas, just really thinking about how I am going to get myself back into the world of tech coaching and tech related videos and just being the geeky me that I know and love. And hopefully everybody else does too. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I am struggling with. When you are doing self-assessment, right? There is such a fine line between identifying a skill, right? And idealizing, having that idealistic view of what you hope you do for others, right? So I don't have the solution to this. And for me, not having an answer to something, oof, no bueno. No bueno. I have split my notebook into two sections. I have a little sticky note in between the sections that says basically things I know and things I think. Not super scientific in nature by any means whatsoever, but I think it has helped me a little bit in trying to identify when you're doing that self-assessment piece. Here are the things that I absolutely positively know to be true. Very factual in nature, right? And then you start thinking, your head starts flitting out into the clouds and you start thinking, man, I hope. And when you start a phrase like that, right, you know you are now moving, you are gravitating from the things that you know to now the things that you hope and pray and wish for. So for someone like me, that becomes really difficult because I really, really struggle to praise myself. I do. And for all of the self-worth conversations that I have had with you and with my students and even with myself, it is still a point of struggle for me to admit that I am good at something, truly good at something. Aside from my studies, which I have never begrudged myself my academic knowledge. So it's really hard for me when I start thinking about my strengths. And then, of course, I need to start thinking about my weaknesses as well. It's not just a one-way street here, Um, I have to start thinking about this is a skill that I truly, honestly have. And the minute I start thinking about the positive attributes that I have, my head starts going to, I hope I am this. I hope that. And I need to stop doing that because I need to ground myself in ideas that are truly part of who I am. And for me, for my own sake of mind, they have to be something that I'm able to measure. Now, that might sound weird, but it's just how the analytical part of my brain works. Are you with me on that? Like, and so here, let me use a real world example. So I have so many times had my students tell me that something I have said to them has helped them. It has made an impact. But and I thank them, I hug them. I don't begrudge them that opportunity to say that to me, but there's always some voice in the back of my head that thinks, like, so I showed them some kindness and they think that that's impactful. And I kind of in some part of my brain back here, and I don't want people to misconstrue this. I do not blow off my students by any stretch of the imagination. But sometimes I'm not sure that I fully absorb the weight of what they're saying to me. I guess another way I could put that is I tend to like brush it off in terms of its weight. I don't think I'm explaining this correctly, but because I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm not absorbing and appreciative of what the kids are saying. That's not it at all. I think that in my own head, because I'm not willing to allow myself to believe that I am making the impact that I'm making, because that's more of a I hope scenario. I don't allow the evidence of these kids who say these things to me to be my scientific evidence. Does that make sense? So I guess when I make these lists, I think what I'm trying to say in a very non succinct way is that having these students, these former students, these young adults say these things to me, that's on the emotional spectrum for me. So that falls into the things that I hope and wish and think. And it's very hard for me to move that over into these are the things that I know category. But the thing that makes me insane with myself is that at some point there is empirical evidence that if the same thing is done over and over and over again, it becomes repetition, it becomes a habit, right? So, why can the same not be held true in my brain, in the D-Spence skull, when students and other people say the same things to me over and over and over again? Why does my brain block that from being treated as empirical hard evidence? I think that is my hump day hurdle. Because when I started writing things down, I started writing things down in terms of, you know, I am a geek. I can figure out technology things. I can tinker until I come to a solution. I also wrote down that, I've spent a large portion of my life learning from teachers and learning to become a teacher. And I think one thing that I have discovered over the years is that there are certain aspects of being a teacher that you just can't learn from textbooks. It's on the job training, but it also has a lot to do with who you are as a person. And so those are the things that I know. I know that I am adept at teaching a wide array of ability levels. I know that I have been able to connect with these people in various stages of growth. These are the things that I know. And then I move to the things that I hope, that I wish for. And that's more of the I hope that I'm making a difference. I hope that I'm making an impact. I hope that me working with this individual is making not only myself, but also making them a better version of themselves. And it goes so much more beyond just pushing buttons on a keyboard. And so that is my struggle. That's where I I'm getting lost gray in that gray because it's so hard to move from the identifying of skills, the self-assessment in a very black and white scale, to then moving over into those more idealistic qualities. And honestly, like, that's really where I want to live. That's where I feel like the magic happens. And so it is a flaw of mine that I have identified and I have admitted it. And I feel like admitting something is usually the first stage in the uh, process of healing. I have admitted that I struggle with complimenting myself in terms of owning the fact that I'm good at something beyond just, oh, I'm just book smart, just a geek, right? But you can be a geek who isn't adept at relationships and making connections with people. You could be someone who doesn't know a thing about technology and would never in a millennia describe yourself as a geek, but be amazing at making connections with people. And you can also be someone that's kind of smack dab in the middle. Like, you know enough about tech to make yourself dangerous. And, you don't shy away from people, but you don't necessarily like reach out your arms and say, like, come and take a walk with me, kind of thing. So I guess what I need to recognize is that there are so many different people on so many different sliding scales. And I need to really get to the heart of why is it so dang hard for me? So I'm keeping it PG, keeping it PG. Why is it so hard for me to move things off the I hope list and admit that, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at this. Like, I should own the fact that I I make people feel comfortable and I help people build confidence. And it's not just about pushing buttons. It's about the idea of understanding that, hey, I can be something more than I was yesterday. I can learn a new skill and that skill can help me in so many different ways. And so when I say it out loud and I read, I go through every time this around this time of year and I read through like some of the things that some of my former students have said to me in like my yearbook collection that I have. Um, and just notes that they've sent me and different things. And I think if so many unique individuals are saying some of the same things to me, why is it that these young adults, these 17, 18, 19-year-old children, can tell me what their relationship with me has meant? And why can't I say, like, hey, it's about time that you look in the mirror and say it to yourself? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because when we're asked to self-assess, I don't know if it's generational, I don't know if it's societal, but do we not tend to focus on our negatives first? Do we not tend to focus on the things that we have to change about ourselves first? And so we can spend so much time on that side of the rabbit hole. I think sometimes we struggle to get to the other side. And so I have been thinking a lot yesterday and it from yesterday into today about taking stock of these skills and trying to make a go at, I don't know how, but somehow combining all of these things that I have to admit I'm good at. How do I marry all these things together in a way that I can help people grow, and how I can help them become a better version of themselves from the time they lift their head off the pillow in the morning until the time they lay their head back on that pillow at night. Because ultimately, that's what I strive for every day. And some days I hit the mark, and some days I miss it by a mile. But that's okay, because at least I recognize that the next pillow cycle is another chance at it. So I'm still brainstorming, I'm still writing down ideas. And honestly, I could be stuck in the writing process for days if I let myself. But I need to figure out, how do I do all this? How do I marry all of my skills, all of my identifying skills with my ideological skills and my hopes and my dreams and my passions and all of this stuff? And how do I make that something that I can make a run with? I'm 48 years old, and I feel like I thoroughly, thoroughly want to I want to give this a run. And I'm kind of stuck. And that's a hurdle that I need to get over. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who's ever had a hurdle like this to get over. But I feel like I'm kind of at a crossroads, and I'm not really sure how to take that next step. So I guess I could ask for insights from you. What kind of value do you think I bring? What do you think my superpowers are? And how could I best serve a virtual community, a virtual audience every day? Because I kind of think that's what I'd like to do. And these like deep thoughts by Jack Handy, these dispense dishboarding things, like I don't know if people get value out of them. I hope. I see there's me being idealistic again. It's really just like the ramblings of a brain that has an idea that needs an outlet to get it out, along with a little quirkiness, maybe a little side of sass. Because without sass, the world just is going to stop moving. That's been scientifically proven, by the way, in case you were wondering. Empirical data states that without sass, the world will literally stop rotating on its axis. And we will just float. Okay, I may not have been telling the truth about that part, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to go keep working on my lists, I think. I don't know. I'm going to write down like all of my passions, all of my skills. And I might post it and say like, I don't know, can somebody help me put this spider web together? Maybe this is it. Maybe the dispense dish is it. And I talk about just everything. I don't know. I don't know. All right. That is all I have for you today. I hope that you have an amazing day. Please make the most of it because, as you know, it's just never, ever gonna happen again. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Hair in My Face, the Thursday edition of The Dispense Dish. Bye, guys.